you want to do is you want to take this red wire and you want to put it in the 5-volt spot in the Arduino. Then all we do is we just connect it into the breadboard, and we want to make sure that we connect it at the top like you see there, because then we want to connect all the other red wires beneath it. And here's the next red wire that we will be connecting, and this will be connected to the motor controller, as you can see on the left. Then we also have these yellow wires, and these are meant for digital pins that will be connected to the motor controller as well as the potentiometer. So as I stated before, we just connect this red wire right underneath the 5-volt wire. And we want to connect it to that 5-volt. And you only need it to connect it to one 5-volt. Same thing with the ground beneath. You also have the ENA pins and the different in pins. You don't really need to know, just follow my lead and everything will turn out good. For this, you will need a male to female jumper wire like indicated here, and then you just simply put it in. Then here we have the potentiometer. These will be used to control the speed of the motor. And you have 3 different wires. You have the yellow, black, and red. Yellow is for the analog input, red is for the voltage, and black is for the ground. So like for the other ones, we're just going to connect the voltage wire underneath the 5-volt wire and the one that goes to the motor controller. And we will do the same thing for the next potentiometer. Then we have these 2 male-to-male black jumper cables, and just like the red cables, these will be connected to the breadboard in a similar fashion. Again, making sure to put the jumper wire at the top so we can connect other black jumper wires beneath it. We will then connect this black jumper wire into the ground input pin in the Arduino. It is labeled GND, and that stands for ground, and it is in the power section of the Arduino. And then just like the other red power ones, we want a male to female so we can connect this as well to the motor controller. And again, like I said previously, you will only need to connect it to one of the ground input pins. Now what I went ahead and did is I just connected the yellow jumper cable to the in2 pin. However, I have not connected it yet to the Arduino. Then we're just going to start putting in these female adapters into the motor controller. You don't really need to know which ones they go to, as long as they go to the ENA pins and the in pins, you're good. Basically what you'll do from then, after connecting these to the motor controller, is you'll look at the code and then you'll plug it in. You'll plug in the male end into the corresponding spots in the Arduino. So like for example, if you plug the ENA pin in and then the code says to have the ENA pin going to digital pin 1, you would connect it to digital pin 1. Here, we're simply just plugging in the potentiometer ground pin into the breadboard underneath all the other ground pins. And we'll do that for both of the potentiometers. At this point, the ground row on the breadboard should start to look pretty full. Next, we're just going to be taking the analog jumper cable for the potentiometer and plugging it into A1 and A2. Like I said, the second one will plug into analog input A2. Here we will connect the rest of the jumper cables to the rest of the motor controller connections. Again, it doesn't really matter where you connect them, as long as you look at the code and you know where to put it on the Arduino, you're fine. Here you will see me writing down and connecting the digital pins from the motor controller. Again, as long as you have the code up and ready, you're good. Here I will just tell you what I have in the code right now that will be available to everybody else. So at ENA pin, we connect that to digital pin number 7, ENB pin or ENA2 or whatever it is. We will connect that to digital pin 4. IN1 pin, we connect that to digital pin 6. IN2 pin, we connect that to digital pin 5. IN3 pin, we connect that to digital pin 3. And IN4 pin, we connect that to digital pin 2. In the video, it will show the piece of paper with the different pieces of pin placement on there, but that's old and out of date according to what the code is now. So again, if you want to go back and write down those, you can, but it will also be available on the open source code where you can find all of this. Here you can see where I put the pins in the time of recording this clip. As you can see they're in similar places. I just wanted to make sure that you know what it kind of looks like and where they're all bunched together. And then it'll look super professional, super cool. So yeah. Lastly comes the power supply and connecting the power switch to it. Here I actually did it wrong. What you want to do is you want to connect the red power cable to the right live wire, which is where I'm pointing right now. The neutral, you want to connect the blue one, and then the yellow one is in the correct spot. That's the ground. So all you have to do is you just have to twist the screws, tighten them down, and make sure you do this when the power supply is not plugged in. Okay, if you do that, you might get electrocuted. So do all of this with extreme caution when everything is not powered up.